Delighted to be joined with Adzy Leonard, who is part of the commentary team for Shelbourne, and Gordon Brett, who's the commentator for Athlone Town. Thanks, guys, for coming on to discuss the WNL season and the cup final coming up on Sunday. Adzy, I'll start with you. Obviously, Shells, they won the league title back to back. What did you make of that season so far for them?
Well, I think the fact that Shells got the league title twice now, I think it shows that the last day of the season, last season, wasn't a fluke. I think Kiva Keenan said that as well. It's been a bit of a whirlwind season, hasn't it? I think for Shells, there's been a lot of comes and goings, and you could probably break the season up into kind of three parts, where we were on great form before we went to Champions League, and then Champions League came around, and there was a bit of rocky form then afterwards. And then obviously the cup semi against Bows, we win and go on to go on and do the league in the end. And I think it's a fabulous side. It's a side that's real talent and real guile, and they deserve to win the league in the end. And you know, I think the strength of the league was shown by the fact that it went down to the last day and there couldn't have one of three teams to win it. So yeah, it was a really good season, and I think the fact that they won it again shows that last season wasn't a fluke.
Moving on to Athlone Town now, Gordon, what a season it was for Athlone. I think everyone said it, everyone I've ever talked to about the season so far have said Athlone Town just been incredible this season. I think last year finishing 7th with 19 points, and then this year finishing 2nd with 58 points is just it just tells it all, really.
It's an unbelievable season. All credit to Tommy Hewitt and work he's done. The squad has got stronger as the year went on, but it's a very young squad as well. No more than Shells, there's some really good underage players in the 17s and 19s. Some of those 17s have actually got game time with the first team, as have the 19s. And it's just, I suppose, the future is bright. You just need to be kept together. Hopefully they can nail Tommy down now for next season, even though I suppose I shouldn't really talk about next season because there's a cup final on Sunday. We just missed out on the league, and congrats to Shells. It's a fantastic side. And I mean, a very experienced team compared to Athlone, and experienced backroom team and management there with Noel King and company. But overall, I mean, Tommy couldn't have asked for any more. Obviously, you plan for success, but I don't think even he could have kind of envisaged coming second in the league and being a cup final. It's a historic day for the club. It's only the second senior cup final that the club will ever play in. It was the Free State Cup in 1924 when the men's senior team won the FAI Cup as it is now. So here we are in 2022, and it's the ladies have got there a little bit quicker than the men, I suppose.
Yeah, and you said yourself, it's not over yet. There's a cup final at the weekend. What do you expect from that game from Athlone?
They've done very well in the last number of months against what we would consider the better side. So it took until this season before Athlone could kind of seal the deal against a Piedmont or a Wexford or a Shells. And they've been consistent against those teams in the last number of weeks. I think Shelbourne, I put them slight favourites because of the experience they have. They've played at top level in bigger games more than our younger squad. But overall, I think if Athlone play the game they're capable of playing, it's a very even game. Hopefully there won't be a whole lot in it.
Yeah, and as you know, coming from the Shelbourne perspective, what do you kind of expect from Shells coming into the cup final?
Well, I think they're hurting from last season, aren't they? They didn't get the win in the final last season, and I think that showed. I think they were in training on Monday, early training with Noel, so I think they're definitely going to be well prepared. They want the double. There's a lot of, as we said, a lot of talented players there who want the prestige of having a league and cup double in their name. Going into it, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think as the season's gone on, we Shells got the win down in Athlone, and then Athlone came to Tolkien. They got a draw, and it was probably lucky on Shells' behalf. Shells got a penalty in the last minute, and then obviously Athlone got the win there in September. So it's going to be a very tight game, but I do expect the women to be well prepared and to be fighting for a cup to go alongside the league title.
Yeah, and there's been a number of players from both sides, Shells and Athlone, who have really kind of taken the season on. Gordon, I'll start with you. Is there a player that you think might play an important role coming into the cup final?
Yeah, I suppose before I mention any individual, I think the strength of what we have is the collective unit. Like even in the semi-final against Wexford, and again that was a big day because cup semi-final against the cup holders, as a collective unit, particularly in midfield three, inside three in midfield, were fantastic. They were very difficult to play against. But then you have to look at individual stuff, and I suppose, you know, they say, you know, strikers kind of win games, and you know, particularly finals. So I mean, Emily Corbett is second top scorer in the league. She's been fantastic this season. But Maddie Gibson is there. You know, Roisin Malloy out on the right, and then I said the midfield three there, and Jessica Hennessy has been brilliant at the back as well. You know, unfortunately, Niamh Coombs is injured. Doesn't look like she'll make it. So I think Ciara Glacken might start. So that's where, you know, right across, you know, individually, all of those players have had fantastic periods in the season, but collectively, they're a really good unit. They're a very gel together bunch as well. So, but cup finals, you never know. Somebody just, you know, that you might not expect pops up with a goal, sticks one in the top corner from 35 yards, and that could be the difference, you know. So, yeah, but overall, I suppose if you're looking at goals, it's Emily Corbett at the back or up top, and you know, I mean, Laurie Weiner, captain, is inspiration as well in midfield, work rate, and you know, Scarlett Heron, Emer Devani, just fantastic footballers, you know, and then going back to it, yeah, Jess particularly at the back, I think has been outstanding with Kaylee Shine. You know, I work here at TOS Sport, and we have 6 or 7 players who've been attached to us this season or last season. So we're very proud on her. And yeah, I kind of hate nominating any one player because I really think they've been fantastic as a unit all season.
Yeah, and you're dead right. Like, anything can happen in the cup. I think we said it from the first round of the cup. Like, it's just a mad competition. Adzy, what about you? Are there any players that you think are going to stand out on Sunday?
Yeah, like Gordon said, I think it'd be harsh just to name one or two. Like you look at the experience heads, likes of Perlo, and you know, Rachel Graham came back on Wexford, and I think came back against Wexford, excuse me, and I think she made a real difference. You know, Noelle Murray's there. Like Gordon said, it could be a goal scorer. I think for me, and anyways, I think Abby Larkin, as we know, she's in the international setup as well. She's an extraordinary talent for her age, and it'd be a great story if she was to pop up with a winner or even just be involved. I think from a consistency standpoint, as I said, Jess Garrigan and Jessie Stedman, I think all season they've been two of Shell's best player, and when Jess was out, you really did. When Jess Garrigan was out, excuse me, you really did kind of see that void. So yeah, I'd probably go with hopefully Abby Larkin to be the match winner, but I'd say definitely Jess Garrigan and Jess Stedman be the ones I'd be keeping an eye on.
Yeah, and Adzy, would you have a score prediction, do you think, for the weekend? Is that a bit of a tricky question to ask, or?
I mean, it is, but you've asked it, so I'll answer. I'd love for Shels to win, of course. And look, as I said earlier, the games this season have been tight. You know, both sides kind of have each other's numbers, so I'm gonna go with a 1-0 Shelbourne win, a nail biter. It won't be the better after, but yeah, I expect a very tight game, and hopefully it ends with a Shells win.
Yeah, and Gordon, what about yourself?
I'm going to go 1-0 the other way. And I'm going on history. I'm looking for history to repeat itself. When Athlone won that Free State Cup in 1924, they got there without conceding a goal, as have our girls in the cup. And they beat Fortsons of Cork 1-0. So I'm going to go 1-0 for history to repeat itself, hopefully, on Sunday.
Brilliant. And before we finish up, guys, Gordon, I'll start with you first. Has there been any favourite moments from you throughout the season when you've been commentating on the games?
Yeah, well, I suppose the brilliant thing about yourselves and LOI TV, and I'm sure Adam, like myself, it's a pleasure to be able to commentate on all these games. And I've been lucky enough to do men's games, underage national finals, and women's games. But we can look back and pick out the moments when we go back. But I think for me, I think Maddie Gibson's goal in the semi-final after 2 or 3 minutes, I think, from the corner, that kind of, for me, kind of sold it, because again, Athlone had to get over the line against one of the big teams, cup holders, and I think that just settled the team. And for a moment for me of this season, because it's a fantastic strike in its own right in any game, but in a cup semi-final, for me, Maddie's goal there with her left foot, that's the highlight so far. Just hoping for one more highlight on Sunday. Sorry, Adam, but one more highlight. Maddie, anybody, Kelsey Monroe, Laurie Ryan, anybody can stick one in. We'll take one shinned in from 2 yards, something like Nunes scored last night for Liverpool. Yeah, so that'll do it for us. But yeah, Maddie's goal is the one that stands out for me.
Yeah, brilliant. And Adzy, what about you?
Yeah, like Gordon, I think the semi-final was a catalyst for Shells this season, because before we were struggling. It was a 1-0 win against Bows in the semis. But I'm not going to go with Noel's goal. I'm going to go with Courtney Maguire's save. there was a save in like the 88th minute, and I think the goalkeeping position is one where, you know, if something bad happens, you're the worst, and obviously if something good happens, you're not usually lauded for it. And I think she came in for Amanda Budden that day, and she really deputised well. And I think she made 2 saves, but there was a particular one in the 88th minute, I think it was. But just a quick look at the 3-2 over Peamount as well in the cup. We were 2-0 down there, but I think the semi-final was a real catalyst of the season to we really drove on from it. Like from the semi-final on, Shells conceded 2 goals and won 4 games and go on to win the league. So yeah, I'll give my moment of the season to Courtney Maguire's save against Bows in the semi-final.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thanks a mil for joining me, guys. It's been a pleasure to have you on and to hear your thoughts throughout the season. If you haven't gotten your tickets to the cup final on Sunday, I'd recommend you get them, because it's going to be a brilliant game, I think, and a very close one as well. So thanks a mil for joining me, guys.